Welcome, welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 7th-day D-Day for all those people that had grandparents and whatnot. Some vets may be alive at 82 years ago today, December 7th, 1941, Day of Infamy, Day of Pearl Harbor. So I hope everybody's having a good day today. Thursday night football on. Got some comments about that game. Got some comments about what I've discovered. If this is true, they're going to have another issue on hand with Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick and more. Going to give you some points against the spread. Not that many this week because they're just not that. Vegas is really getting they're really getting savvy out there in Vegas when cutting these spreads, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's go ahead and take our first and only break, and we'll be back here 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hit the ground running. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Okay, now, got a game tonight. New England at Pittsburgh. You know, years ago, this would have been a huge game, Pickles. I tell you, this would have been Brady versus Ben Roethlisberger 6-7 years ago. This would have been a fantastic matchup against two playoff teams. Now you've got it's coming down to the last second. It's either going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi here for the Patriots. I do not think that they have switched out anybody, but I will say this. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to see if here Patriots have elevated Malik Cunningham. You just never know what they're going to do right now. I think it's going to be an under game. It's about 30.5 here on the under. Mitch Trubisky versus, let's see if I'm trying to look now and see if Ian Rappaport has updated this. We're not sure who's going to, and it looks like they're going to hold off to the last minute. It makes never mind who the quarterback is going to be. Pickles calls it the toilet bowl. Okay. But I was listening to the Colin Cowherd show the other day, and there was a report out from Monday Morning Quarterback here, Albert Breer, who also works with NBC here. He works with NBC out of the Boston area. Listen to his report here on what's going on with the offense now in New England. Stand by.
I've talked to people inside the organization who feel like Bill O'Brien isn't allowed to run the offense that he brought in here. Who's running it? That Bill basically tells him, like, this is what I want this week. This is what we're looking for, and he works within those constraints. And I think you can even see some of that, like in the way that they started games early in the year against Miami, against Philadelphia, before the talent issue kind of got to a critical mass. The way they come out of the gate, you could see it. Like, you could see some of the ingenuity, you could see some of the rhythm and what they were doing. All of that looks like it's gone now, and I know that there are at least some people who feel like part of it's the restrictions Bill's putting on them. I think.
Wow. I mean, if he is doing restrictions, and you know, you think about what Albert Breer said, you know, they were one-score games against Miami. against Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got one of the best offenses in the entire NFL, okay? And that was Bill O'Brien. Why did Bill Belichick step in and put his hands on the offense after that? They've had some injuries, but the truth of the matter is it's not been that bad, folks. It's been the same quarterbacks. It's been the same receivers, tight ends. I know Ramon Stevenson just got hurt, but he's played the majority of the time at running back. They still had Zeke Elliott there that they signed over from the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I've never thought, I just never thought that Belichick would get to this level of stubbornness. Sometimes coaches go through this where they feel like that things are slipping away and they're not holding on tight enough. You know, I've talked about this in the college game, okay, where you got guys like Jimbo Fisher. The long report about him at Texas A&M, hanging on too tight, over managing everybody, wouldn't let Bobby Petrino run the offense there at Texas A&M. Lane Kiffin, when he went to USC, these guys are amateurs compared to Belichick. I mean, Jimbo Fisher has got a Super Bowl ring. Fisher's got a national championship ring. Belichick, he's a 7-time champion, and it seems like Belichick is hanging on too tight. Pickle says Don Shula went through the same route. Okay. I mean, these guys are dead last in the NFL in points, 12.3 points a game. That's why I said I think this will go under tonight. One's bad and the other one's proud of it, So they're 27th in yards in the NFL, but they're dead last in points scored, 12.3. This is like 1985 football here. And you look at this and think about, you get a guy like Zach Taylor. This is just over the last 5 years, folks. Look how the NFL has evolved at a rapid pace since Tom Brady retired. Since who was it? Drew Brees, all these old quarterbacks. Since Brady last won his Super Bowl with New England, right? Since 2018, all offensive-minded head coaches have been either in the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl, folks. That's how much has changed in such a rapid pace here, But I was just, for example, you've got Cincinnati with Jake Browning and Zach Taylor just on Monday night, 500 total yards of offense, 34-31 win over Jacksonville last week. You guys remember this time last week, I had a guest on my program, Mike Richmond. He is a historian for the Washington Redskins / Washington Commanders organization. Okay. And he brought up Marty Schottenheimer. He talked about how much he liked Marty Schottenheimer. And I did not want to really get into a different argument over Schottenheimer. He's good for cleaning up sloppy, bad teams. He's was good, rest his soul. The guy's passed away. Now, I think his son has been bouncing around the NFL as an offensive coordinator. But Schottenheimer was known for cleaning up mistakes and everything, but he was massively conservative. 3 runs and a punt used to be the joke. I used to joke with my stepdad about that. Big football fan. And back in 2006, ironically, Schottenheimer, with that San Diego Charger team, 14-2, folks, in the regular season. LaDainian Tomlinson in his prime. Phillip Rivers, he was like a young quarterback, though, first or second year player there. You've got Antonio Gates, Sean Merriam, very good defense, 14-2 record there, much balance on offense there, tight end, wide receiver, best running back in the game at the time, right? So but he shrunk up in these big games. Okay, New England went across the country, beat them in San Diego. The owner ended up firing Schottenheimer because he was just simply too conservative, and it really caught up with him in the playoffs. So Bill Belichick is the guy who beat him. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And now you fast forward, we're talking 17 years later, I want to say, all the way to 2023. Now he's that guy. Now Bill Belichick is that guy. We've already talked about the fact that Belichick does not need to draft the players anymore. That's got to be assessed. Now Albert Breer is saying he's trying to control the offense. If him and Robert Kraft cannot come up with an understanding, he's got to retire, man. This is worse than I thought it would be. And I would never in a million years, looking back, following this dynasty with Brady. For instance, Belichick would have game plans sometimes when they would play the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings used to have, back about 15 years ago, they used to have two really good defensive tackles, the best in the game. And these guys were good, really good tackles there. They had the best run defense in the league. And Brady threw the ball the whole game. He just short pass. And it was a primetime game. New England goes in and beats that Viking team. That kind of flexibility. You would read about alternating offensive linemen, just really innovative stuff. Of course, Brady could execute anything that Belichick put on there. Okay, when they would play those great Baltimore Raven teams, excellent defenses, excellent 2003, 2004. He would say, "Listen, we're going to have to throw short. We can't go over the middle. We're not going to run much. We're going against Hartwell there. We're going against Bill, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. This is a historically good defense for several years here, and they would have these perfect game plans. But from where they went down now, from where they were then till now, it's like Belichick has sunk down into a pit here where he wants to be that conservative. Now, you say, what do you do? Well, I would just have that conversation. Say, Bill, if this is true, if I'm Robert Kraft, listen, we got to have a regular coordinator here, man. And we've got to bring in a general manager. If not, let's just go ahead and end this thing right now. There's been talks about maybe the LA Chargers trading for him. There's been talks of maybe the Patriots trading for him out of Nashville. Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini with the Athletics. She says, her sources says that's not going to happen. The Titans are going to keep Vrabel. Okay. But his lack of flexibility, he's over 70. I just cannot get why he would be this stubborn. Maybe this stuff's not true. Maybe Bill O'Brien is trying to simply take care of his own self because he knows that there's going to be some jobs out there. Okay. The Commanders is going to be open. I think the Chicago Bears will be open. Just to name technically the Raiders are still open. The Carolina Panthers are still open. Okay. Maybe the Saints will be open. So when you start really thinking about it, there could be 7 or 8 job openings. That's practically a third of the league. But if this stuff is true, what else can you do with Belichick, man? There's only so much you can do to hang on to the past. The good news, though, if the season ended today, they would be drafting second, Pickles. They would be drafting second in the NFL. Obviously, the Bears have the first. I thought I could have swore I had this. Yeah, they would be drafting second, and I want to say that they have a. I want to say that they have the number 2 pick, and they are second or third. They are second or they're third in cap space, according to 2 different sites here, Over the Cap and Spot Track. So they're definitely going to get a quarterback, whether it be Drake May or Caleb Williams. By the way, all this talk about Caleb Williams may stay. He's not sure if he want. If his dad said all this, not Caleb himself. Dad's like, well, Caleb, if he don't like the number 1 team that's got the number 1 pick, he could come back here and play at USC. Well, now it's came out he's not going to play the bowl game. And like I was telling you all, with these losses that USC has had, Lincoln Riley's defense is not what it's going to be. He's not going to win a national championship. Why chase another Heisman Trophy with there? Go ahead and get some more guaranteed money out of the NFL. Start learning the offense. Move on to better things. So that's what he's going to do. So now we know. I don't think Schroeder Sanders now. Nobody's called Dion. Dion, they didn't finish strong there in Colorado, so that's not going to happen. But that being said, so now you're going to have Caleb Williams. He's definitely coming out. If he ain't playing a bowl game, it'd be weird if he comes back. So he's healthy. He's coming out. Drake May from Carolina's coming out. MichaelPenix, I don't think he's even got any more eligibility left. Bo Nix, those guys. Jalen Daniels from LSU. He's supposed to be the odds-on favorite come Saturday to win the Heisman. Okay. So they're going to have their pick of litter there at the quarterback position, and they're definitely going. My guess is they'll probably go Drake May. All right. But Robert Kraft, this has got to, I've been talking about this for 2 years now. Keith Engel, me and him has talked about, by the way, I'm going to try to get Keith to come on next Wednesday. But Keith Engel thinks that they're going to mutually agree to part ways. Kraft and Belichick, somebody else will pick him up. I don't know who, but I would like to see him. Hey, look, to stay with Bill O'Brien, let him run the offense, hire a general manager, go out and draft. You got plenty of money. Go out and draft Drake May with that second pick overall from North Carolina, and use your free agent money. Maybe go after free agent receiver. You can trade for a player. Justin Jefferson may be out there. I would not draft Marvin Harrison. I think you got to start this thing over. I think Mac Jones is shocked with Bill Belichick right now. I don't know if they could trade him for a 5th or 6th round pick. Bailey Zappi would continue to be a backup there in New England. But so listen, folks, we're getting here towards the end of the season. Okay, I just mentioned last Monday we're 4 weeks away from the college football playoff on January 1st, Monday, January 1st. 1 week from that day will be January 8th. That is considered Black Monday. Something's going to go down either that Monday or Tuesday, in my opinion. Something with Belichick and Robert Kraft, whether they mutually agree to part ways or not. I hope they work it out. I've liked Saban. I'm one of the people that thinks it's more 50-50. I'm not one of these people saying it's all the way Brady. It's more Brady than I thought as far as who to get the credit for the success. I know what Bill Belichick did with the Cleveland Browns defense. They went from 32nd to 1st over a few years there. Him and Nick Saban together. Him and a young Nick Saban back in the early 90s there. They won a playoff game. So he is nowhere near as bad as some of these critics are making him out to be. Bill Parcells never won a Super Bowl without Belichick there. The guy knows his stuff, but he's gotten too much power, too much ego, And now it's really catching up with him. He needs to take a step back. And what's really crazy about all this, he's friends with Nick Saban. You know, I had a great guest on yesterday, Chuck Norris, Ken Norris. I keep calling this guy Chuck Norris. And it is very complimentary, Saban, like myself. And what my biggest deal with I mean, this is college, but still, Nick Saban is, he realized that even the college game has evolved in more of an offensive game. He's putting more focus in recruiting California quarterbacks, guys with years and years and years of experience in these Elite 11 quarterback camps. He's not just getting any old quarterback and say, we're going to win in a running game and defense. He's saying, no, we need skill positions. We have to score. We have to recruit better receivers. We have to catch up with the LSUs and Ohio States as far as getting, of course, they got guys like Devontae Smith, who won the Heisman, Jerry Jeudy, players like that, and Burton, who Ken talked about yesterday. Jermaine Burton is going to be a really good wide receiver there. There's more emphasis on those skill positions. Okay, why can't Belichick see that? You know, he's really got tunnel vision. Yeah, he's still going for Don Shula's record. So you hope that him and Robert Kraft can work this thing out. But major decisions have to be made. This cannot go on any longer. This is ridiculous now. You know, they shut out last week. I don't think they'll be lucky to score 6 points. This is a ticked off Pittsburgh Steelers defense who got beat by Arizona. Mike Tomlin, I warned you all last week. I talked about this with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez, that he has a tendency, his teams, to play down the competition. People thought I was overstating that. They're not now because they got beat by Arizona. They're going to come back ticked off. They've got Michael Fitzpatrick back at safety. He's going to – I expect them to play well tonight. This is in Pittsburgh. They need this game. They're still playing for something. And the Patriots don't need to win another game. They need that one pick, really. You know, they need the one pick. But they've got the 2 pick. I didn't think they would get this far up, but they have. They're sitting at that 2 pick, and I don't see anything changing, you know. So, but if he's going to be stubborn, he's hiring his kids now. That's what cost Jeff Fisher his job, Pickles. If you all recall, some of you Titan fans out there, Jeff Fisher was the greatest thing since sliced bread from 99 to 2004. And then when the team moved off of Steve McNair, they tried the Vince Young thing. That didn't work out. They had a little bit of luck here with filling quarterbacks here and there, Jake Locker and everything. And Jeff Fisher wanted to hire his son onto the staff. But Adams, when he was alive, he said, no, you cannot hire your son. And then Fisher ends up mutually agreeing to part ways. I'm thinking 2010-ish, this something like that. Then Fisher, he's stuck in 1985 Bears. He used to play for the Bears. Yeah, he was like a special teams guy. Then remember, he takes the job with the Rams, and he can't do that little okey doke he does on us here in Nashville, you know. And then, of course, we know what happened. I mean, you got guys like Eric Dickerson saying, man, looks like they're running a high school offense. Fisher gets fired, never gets hired again. This guy, that was like 7 years ago. You know, he's been out of the league for 7 years, Jeff Fisher. You know, good guy, still lives here in Nashville. I'm sure he got a great pension. But he just got so concerned. He's not evolved, man. He is not evolved. And especially when Sean McVay took over that team and then they got to the Super Bowl. They got to the Super Bowl with the same quarterback. Remember, Jared Goff was still the quarterback. He was considered to be a bust under Fisher. And then when McVay comes in there, adds some innovations to their offense. So that's probably what Robert Kraft is thinking. Coach, we got to do something here. You know, this is terrible. And then Pickle says Mike Tomlin should have been. So what does this all point to? What's the commonality here? Defense, Mike Tomlin. Defense, Jeff Fisher. Defense, the great Bill Belichick. Okay? I was thinking about this at work today. This whole league needs to be offensive-minded head coaches. Until they change the rules back where you can just take guys' heads off over the middle of the field, which I don't think so, because this is a fantasy football-driven league. This is going to be a problem. It's not only their defensive-minded coaches not winning Super Bowls. Folks, defensive-minded head coaches are not even getting to the Super Bowl. From 2019 till today, 2023, and I don't see this being any different. By the way, Miami's got the number 1 seed, offensive-minded head coach. I didn't mention that the other day. When I was doing my Power 5 on Tuesday, Miami's got the number 1 seed. Okay? Offensive-minded. Who's got the number 1 seed right now in the NFC? Was it Philadelphia? Offensive-minded. So it's Andy Reid's been to multiple Super Bowls. This is an offensive league. Go out and get the offensive-minded head coach and get the money on the defensive coordinator. Don't get the big defensive-minded head coach and spend your money on offensive coordinator, because the defensive-minded head coach can always override the offensive coordinator. Say, listen, man, we want you to just run the ball up the middle of these next 2 plays. When this coordinator's got this really good scheme here that he'd been working on probably all week, and the head coach just shuts him down and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to play close to the vest. The way defensive-minded head coaches are, except for Miko Ryans, and I mentioned that what's his name, Bobby Slowick. Keep an eye on that guy. He's only 36 years old. Don't be surprised if he don't get hired away for as good a job as he's doing with C.J. Stroud. By the way, Robert Saleh, now they're saying Zach Wilson's going to play. There was a report a few days ago that he didn't want to play. Now he wants to play. And, I understand they got offensive line issues. Rodgers is hurt, but he's deteriorating as any kind of development. The offense is abysmal right now up there in the Jets. He is on a hot seat. He's not a guarantee to make it. He's another defensive-minded head coach. Sean McDermott, I think that's just a big game for Buffalo. Okay, this is a big, big game. Now tomorrow, whether Carlos is here or not, I'll break down the biggest games. Okay, but Pickle says he's holding on by threads. Yeah. So Zach Wilson, they've got to get probably a left tackle. They're going to have to draft the quarterback. Maybe I would maybe trade Sauce Gardner and get another pick. Now, a lot of you didn't want to hear that. I know Mac didn't want to hear that when I was talking to him on the Mac and Jack Jim Jeffcoat show I go on Sundays. But this is the way the league's going. You got to stay up. You got to stay current. And these defensive-minded head coaches, I will say this. Only reason I'm wanting Tennessee to keep Vrabel, I'm out of Nashville, is because they did lean offense in this offseason. They got Sonorski in the first round. They drafted Will Levis in the second round. They did spend money on DeAndre Hopkins. That being said, I would have went left tackle. I wouldn't have went cheap with Dillard. But they did spend. They went out and got Spears at running back. They've had a pretty good draft. Even though they're not playing well right now. Another team needs to lose out. Okay. But speaking of one of those players, I wanted to talk about this last time. I wanted to talk about this last night, but I got a little long-winded conversation with Ken Norris. Go back and listen to that. It's a great interview there with Alabama fan Ken Norris yesterday. Okay, MichaelPenix. Now, MichaelPenix is only about 6'1". He is left-handed, a little different, southpaw, Washington quarterback. To me, I would bring him in if I am New England. whether I'm the Bears, who else is picking in the top? Even Arizona. Anybody up in that top 5 that's really want to get a quarterback. Okay, Atlanta, even the Giants, maybe even the Jets. Jets picking like 8th. I bring in MichaelPenix as if I may take him number 1 over Drake or Caleb Williams. And nobody else is saying this. Okay, Penix is his journey, folks, is a lot like what you're going to deal with in the NFL. Okay, we're seeing this right now. Let me read some of the injuries that he's had to deal with in his career. Now, mind you, remember he transferred from Indiana. Penix did. Okay, and this injury history that Penix has is unbelievable. So I read this off Sporting News last Friday night. I wanted to talk about it ever since. Okay, Michael's. This is Sporting News put this out on their X site here, on the X site. MichaelPenix Jr.'s story is incredible. 2018. Keep these dates in mind. He tore his ACL. Okay. 2019. Season-ending stern cavalier joint injury. That's a $50 word. That was in 2019. Now 2020 tore his ACL again. So this is probably why he won't go number 1, because of this. And in 2021, he's had season-ending AC joint injury. He considered return from football because of all these injuries. Instead, he ended up transferring to Washington in 2022, led Washington to 11-2 record in 2023. That's this year, 13-0. He's going to New York on Saturday for the Heisman. And I say all that because all that adversity he's been through, makes me think about guys like Joe Burrow, tore his ACL first year in the league, right? Comes back, goes to the Super Bowl. He's out again with a wrist injury. And Penix, now he probably won't get drafted number 1 because of this. He may fall to a team, to a potential contender, to maybe a Detroit who thinks maybe they want to start it over at quarterback or somebody like that. Quite frankly, if Tennessee, if they don't really like what they see these last few games out of Will Levis, I would take him. If I'm the Jets and I'm sitting there at 8, if he's on the board, I take this guy. The last 2 years. Okay, his ability to keep coming back, because that's what you're going to deal with in the NFL. Look at all these injuries this year. Look at all these backup quarterbacks here. Look at all these offensive linemen that have been out. Andrew Thomas with the Giants. The Titans have their left tackle out. Okay. Last year, who was it? Justin Herbert's left tackle was out most of the year last year. Trevor Lawrence's left tackle was out. So he's used to all that turmoil and controversy. He's a thick-skinned guy. He's a lot tougher than a Caleb Williams, who is listening to Taylor Swift and well, I didn't say that. I don't know if he's listening to Taylor Swift. He says he wants to watch movies and cuddle up with his dog, and he paints his nails, and he's hugging crying in his mom's arms in the stadium. Feels like he's playing up to some kind of brand or something, right? Feels like he's almost either he's weak or and the 49ers lost. So my point is, this guy's used to overcoming things. And I noticed he don't run that much. I think because maybe he may have ran more at Indiana. And this adversity, folks, this having to come back, these injuries have probably made him think, okay, maybe I need to stay in the pocket, get rid of the ball. Okay. Like I've told you before, because he's left-handed, kind of reminds me of Mark Brunell. Played 17 years in the league, borderline MVP year. years, a Pro Bowl level player for the Jacksonville Jaguars there. That's who he reminds me of. Could be a better player. This guy has the mental fortitude to keep going with the right offense around him. He just comes out. I was looking at some of those back shots. I know he's got 3 potential first-round picks there at wide receiver, especially that Ozune or whatever his name is, the wide receiver. The guy's about 6'3", 6'4". He's going to be great. But don't get too caught up into that. A lot of those were back shoulder, big NFL throws he made, not just in this game, but also cold, rainy Oregon State when they were underdogs. Very tight rival game. I think they'll play well. I think they'll play well in this playoff coming up here in a few weeks there against who they playing? Texas. Against Texas. I can't wait to see. I wish it wasn't at 7 o'clock at night. But the MichaelPenix, he's more than just a story. But also look at the players that have succeeded in this league. You know, look at players like, I mentioned Joe Flacco. He's from Delaware. Nobody's never heard of him. You know, Ben Roethlisberger, Miami, Ohio. Not Miami Hurricanes, Miami, Ohio, right? Multiple Super Bowls. Tom Brady wasn't even a starter on his team. Didn't start, I want to say, to his junior year. He was a backup. He was a 6th-round pick from Michigan. Not even really considered a big star here. Turns out to be. These guys are molded. Joe Burrow had to transfer from Ohio State to LSU. Okay. Russell Wilson transferred from NC State to Wisconsin. I thought they was just a running team. That guy ends up going to multiple Super Bowls here. It seems like these players that have overcome a lot of adversity in their career. Now, obviously, you know, sometimes you get your generational talent guys like your Eli Mannings, Peyton Mannings, John Elway, Andrew Luck. Yeah, you're going to get those, but it's not how many of those USC quarterbacks turn out to be anything. How many Alabama quarterbacks really turn out to be anything, you know, other than here recently, you know. But before that, otherwise, how many Ohio State quarterbacks, folks, have turned out to, other than C.J. Stroud? You know, I was just talking about that with big Ohio State fan John Restano a couple of weeks ago. This guy may be the best Ohio State quarterback ever. You know, remember Trey Smith? Remember him in 2006? Chris Leak with the Florida Gators, Tebow, Warfel. None of those guys, they all faded out, you know? So a lot of the quarterbacks, they come from places that you wouldn't expect them to come from, you know? Brock Purdy, he's in line to get the possible MVP this year. Iowa State. And people say about, well, about Jalen Hurts. Well, he had a transfer, and he was raw. He got benched. He got benched in front of 18 million people and came back strong, you know. Boomer was a lefty, too. Yeah, wasn't Steve Young left-handed, too, Pickles? So it's not like, so Steve Young's left-handed. Boomer Sison's left-handed. I want to say, I thought Cunningham was left-handed, but I want to say that Donovan McNabb was left-handed too, Pickles. Wasn't McNabb left-handed for the Eagles back in the day? So, I mean, there's some good – I just like this guy's presence, good deep ball, good short intermediate routes. He's never rattled. I like him better than Caleb Williams. And I know this injury history – if Pittsburgh gets a shot, maybe they should look at him. You know, I mean, there's a chance he could fall into contender. Keep an eye out for MichaelPenix. Great story, but also a great player. Has overcome a lot, and he has developed into quite a star there. Okay, now, Okay, now, last week, terrible on the games against the spread. Didn't pick that many games against the spread, okay? Because I had a guest last week, and I end up rushing this thing, and I'm trying to see what I had last week. Yeah, way off. I thought picking Washington against Miami last week totally dropped the ball there. Miami's rolling. So I was wrong about that last week. Just a quick recap. I picked Kansas City -6, and heck, they lost by 8. They lost by 8 on the road to the Green Bay Packers. I thought maybe, Washington, going back to that game, and they fired Jack Del Rio, humiliated on national team, and they didn't care. Those players have quit on Rivera. So Rivera's done. And Miami's rolling. They've got the 1 seed now. Okay. The Packers are rolling right now. They've really developed into something special. Offensive-minded head coach. Go figure. Matt LaFleur. And, of course, I did nail San Francisco, Philadelphia. That was the only one I had out of the 3 that I picked last week. Now, this week is tricky. Okay? Don't have that many this week. Vegas is really making it difficult. Now, folks, for you FanDuel players here, I've been doing this for the past 4 or 5 weeks. You can alternate the spread. You're not going to get the right odds, but you can none of the other people talk about this, okay? And I may start a segment next week where I could just alternate. I'll just give you my spread, okay? I'll give you the 5 best games with my alternate spread. First of all, like I said at the beginning of the program, 32.5, I think it'll go under tonight. It feels like a 17-14, and that is that's 31. That is being generous to both of these teams. It's probably going to be like 9-3 or something, in Pittsburgh. Of course, I'm not watching the game. Maybe they went off and had some, special teams touchdowns, which means no, never mind. Okay, so I've got 3 games here. All right, number 1, Cleveland at home against Jacksonville. Now, there's been talk. Now, Jacksonville, remember, folks, they played Monday night. Trevor Lawrence, high ankle sprain. I told you there's going to be a little bit of internal pressure for him to play. If he hasn't, now he's done his MRIs and everything. There's nothing there that's broken. But I said this on Tuesday's program, folks, that Lawrence, there's going to be some internal pressure because Patrick Mahomes played through a high ankle sprain in the playoffs, won a Super Bowl. High ankle sprain's 4 to 6 weeks, and he from a 3-week period, he did it ironically against the Jaguars, finishes game, wins the game, beats that good physical Cincinnati team, and then beats the all-world Chiefs, Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. So we're talking about a 3-week spread there, and he still didn't get healed up totally to a few weeks after, for what I read anyways. Okay, so he's going to try to gut it out from what I'm hearing. I still, with the backup left tackle there, with Walker Little, he had a hamstring injury. Cam Robertson, the starter's out, going against who's the other guy's name? Smith, and of course, Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think it's foolish for him to play, even if he does. They're going against Joe Flacco, another guy only 2 weeks into the system. Don't put too much into Flacco from what he did last week. Remember, when you're bringing in a new quarterback, it's easy to kind of wing it one game. We talked about this with Josh Dobbs from Minnesota. He winged it 2 games, right? But what happened the last game? 4 interceptions. Now they're going to bring him back, but it's really hard to bring a quarterback in like that. So now you've got 2 potential backup quarterbacks. But even if Lawrence plays, right? Cleveland on Sunday, Pickles, the weather's going to be 17 to 20 mile per hour plus winds, with Denzel Ward being back at cornerback with that Cleveland defense. Okay. Denzel Ward's going to be back, 17, 22 mile per hour wind. I've seen this before. Okay. They're going to be lucky to get first downs in Cleveland. Christian Kirk will not play. Denzel Ward will likely be on Calvin Ridley. Zay Jones has been limited all week. That's the other option. Maybe you move the ball with bubble screens with ETN or Ingram, the tight end, okay? And, of course, on the other side there, they're going to have to do short passes because it's, like I said, 20 mile per hour plus winds, okay? So it's 32.5 is the under. And I think that could be like a 10-6 type of game, folks. I don't even know if they'll get 25. Like I said, I've seen these type of situations in Cleveland before, this time a year before, and the game be like 6-3. Missed field goals. They're up there with that lake, Pickles. Supposed to be some kind of minor snowstorm coming in, nothing major. But the wind, when you've got wind, that's going to hurt, okay? Take the under, Cleveland and Jacksonville. That, and a lot of people say, well, maybe you take Cleveland to win. I wouldn't risk that. The spread is like 3.5 for Cleveland. I could see Cleveland winning, but I can also see Jacksonville putting together some type of game plan and Cleveland screwing things up. Because Cleveland's got a patchwork offensive line too. Their tackles have been out for a long time now. Okay. So this is an under game. Okay. It's an under game. Like tonight, it's an under game. Okay. Okay. Baltimore's coming off a bye week. Lamar Jackson, my only concern about Lamar, they said he's out with the illness today. Little to no chance that Lamar Jackson is going to miss. He's probably got a head cold or something, and it was probably for rest purposes. Maybe he got a little bug there. That's another thing. Lamar Jackson's been sick over the years during the week. Catch a bug on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By Sunday, he's playing and got 200 yards rushing. The Rams are coming east. Short week. The Rams played that Cleveland team last week. Physical team. Won the game. Rams are in the playoff race. They're 6-5. If they make the playoff race, Sean McVay's got to be considered coach of the year because they got $70 million in dead cap money. Now, Puka Nacua got hurt last week, but I haven't read anything like he's going to come back this week. Got a shoulder problem. They'll be okay, but getting a Lamar Jackson's 19-1. You heard that right. He is 17. I don't know where I got 19 from. 17-1 against NFC teams. Okay. The last 2 games that I've picked Lamar Jackson, once I found that stat out, Detroit, total just destroy. Seattle, totally destroyed these teams, okay? Now they're coming off a bye week with Gus Edwards there, and it's played in Baltimore. Early start time, okay? Pickle says the Ravens' defense will be a step faster. Gus Edwards will be a step faster. Lamar himself, even though he's a little under weather today, even if it's a stomach bug, he'll be a step faster, okay? Pretty healthy secondary. Marlon Humphrey, those guys, they lead the league in sacks. They are 7.5-point favorites. This feels like by the way, no There's no weather in Baltimore. This is not like Cleveland. This is Baltimore. Pretty good weather there in Baltimore. The Rams will score. They're playing some good football, but this is going to be similar to the although the defense is a little tighter, the Eagles game that played against the Rams. So this is 27-16. Ravens cover that 7.5. Okay, 27-16. Maybe a chance of rain at some point in the second half. But these guys are probably. I mean, you getting a bye week this late in the season. They're still fighting for that 1 seed. Baltimore folks will play Miami at some point. Baltimore's got the 2 seed. Miami's got the 1 seed. The 1 seed's huge. You get the bye week, Miami and Baltimore are going to be on cue these next few weeks. They're really going to be on cue. So Baltimore, rain in second half, much better running team. 17-1 Lamar Jackson against NFC teams. It's going to be 18-1, 27-16. And that's being generous to the Rams come Sunday. So I like that one as well. Okay? All right. Now, from everything I'm reading, and I'm going to double check as I like to check just beforehand on some of these games. The Titans. All right. From my understanding and looking at things, there's a possibility Jeffrey Simmons, and now, okay, I had to double check here. The Titans punter, Ryan Stonehouse, is out, okay? Season-ending surgery after suffering a knee injury in the Colts game, okay? Chris Hubbard, offensive tackle, out. Jeffrey Simmons, their best defensive tackle, out. Mike Vrabel says knee will be out next Monday's game against the Dolphins. Will likely be out a few weeks, according to Jim Wyatt, okay? Christian Fulton will not practice Wednesday and could be out. Turin Davenport, ESPN, that's their lead corner, okay? They're playing Miami. Miami don't beat bad teams like Tennessee. They destroy teams like Tennessee. They beat the Commanders by 25 points. They beat Denver when they were bad. They scored 70 points, a 35-point win. All right. The only team they didn't beat was the Raiders. The Raiders had a little bit better secondary, and they had a healthy Max Crosby. All right. Miami, again, they're fighting Baltimore to get that 1 seed. All right. Tennessee, 28-32 pass defense, closer to 32. I do fantasy for Mike. Mac asked me to give him his fantasy team every week. And I always take the lead receiver against Tennessee. Last couple of weeks. Michael Pittman, 30 fantasy points. Okay. The Titans they won't be able to do nothing with Tyreek Hill, nor Jalen Waddle. Okay. Plus the running game is going to be open up. They're wanting to showcase. Here's another kicker for you. The Titans humiliated the Dolphins 2 years ago. Remember when the Titans had the 1 seed? They humiliated the Dolphins. The Titans have a rookie quarterback going against a Vic Fangio defense, okay, led by Jalen Ramsey and, of course, Xavier Howard. All right, everything is lining up really bad for Tennessee, okay? This opens up. Pickle says Jeffrey Simmons out. The Dolphins should run wild. This is a very high spread. If the Titans were more healthy, I would not touch this spread with a 10-foot pole. Looks like the Titans will have back Derrick Henry, but I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball that much. Look how good Washington's offense is. They held Washington to 14 points at Washington, folks. Washington, look how good and talented the Eagles are and how much the Eagles know Washington. They put 30 points on them both times. Washington did on Philadelphia. Okay. So they minus 13.5. Yeah, that's pretty bad. This feels like a 31-10 game. Miami wins on Monday night, which is more than 14. Okay. 31-10. Titans are picking, what are they picking? 6th, 8th. They listen, folks. They like New England. Tennessee needs to lose these games. Okay. They need to go out and get that left tackle from Penn State. I was just reading through some mock drafts. Okay. We mentioned Drake May. We mentioned Caleb Williams. I like MichaelPenix. But keep in mind, Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the best receiver prospects in a long time. I mean, he's up there. Somebody was talking about this today. He's a good receiver prospect as Adrian Peterson was a running back prospect. Okay. He's going to get drafted really high. You know, he is a combination of Randy Moss and Jerry Rice. Got the speed of Randy Moss, got the build, got the work ethic of a Rice. Dad got a work ethic. If he runs a sub 4.4, he's going to be top 5 guaranteed. Probably going to be 3rd off the board. Arizona needs him. So Tennessee needs to get about that 4th pick. They don't need to win this game. You know, they don't win. So I think Miami's going to play well. Pickle says maybe Anquan Bolden. Yeah, he's thick like Bolden. You know, his dad was graceful like that. He could catch a ball, toe tap the end of the line and still get the touchdown. You know, he's very NFL ready. Marvin, he was NFL ready last year. Remember, Ohio State fell out of that. So my point is, Tennessee, they need to get that left tackle from Penn State or the one from Notre Dame. The Penn State guy's got a much higher grade on him. And Tennessee will probably get demolished. I know this team really well, and every time I've said this, I've come out really good against Tennessee. This is a team, like I said, the Giants, Denver, Washington Commanders, Miami really pounces on these teams. Tennessee, at the state they're in, yeah, this is a 31-10 game. Okay. They're going to make up for that 2 years ago when Tennessee blew them out, destroyed them a few years ago. So anyways, you like the show, share the show. I'll be back here tomorrow, even hopefully Carlos will be able to be here live from Colombia. Maybe he'll give us some soccer updates and say how Pablo's family is doing. No, I'm kidding. Pablo Escobar, Colombia, right? Or maybe, find some coffee or something. But anyways, folks, I will be back tomorrow. We'll talk about the 5 biggest games. I mean, that Philadelphia game's huge. Buffalo game's huge against Kansas City. Not sure I'd do those picks against the spread. But those are really big games on tomorrow. So, anyways, I'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place here on Sports Scope. Have a good night, everybody.